Hi, my name is Cecilia Howard, and I want to welcome you today to what I hope will be the first of many opportunities to practice mindfulness meditation together as a group or in your home. I wanted to introduce you to a little bit about myself and about exactly what mindfulness meditation is. But I don't want to spend an inordinate amount of time speaking on the subject of meditation, because to be honest with you, what I find works greatly is the actual practice of meditation. So this will probably be the most talky of my shows here with BCTV, and the future shows will be far more experiential, where we'll be really diving right into the practice of meditation. So by way of an introduction, I've been teaching meditation for about 5 years. And I also have been practicing meditation for about 23 years. Now, I've also been practicing yoga throughout that 23 years as well. But in all honesty, my body has changed considerably since I was in my 20s and 30s. I've put on weight. I'm in my change of life, and my body has shifted and changed. So my yoga practice has changed too. And what I used to do was hold poses for longer periods of time and be far more agile at it. And I find my meditation movements and mindfulness yoga movements are more slowed down and more like gentle stretching. So accepting the fact that my body's changed and that I'm open to that is all part and parcel of this mindfulness process and this mindfulness meditation that I've been doing for some years. In 2012, I had the wonderful opportunity to be accepted into the very prestigious training program at the University of Massachusetts Medical School called the Center for Mindfulness. And it was a program that trained me in teaching the mindfulness-based stress reduction program. This was a program that was launched by Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn. I'm sure that's a name that a number of the viewers are probably very familiar with. Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn launched it at UMass Medical School over 30 years ago. The MBSR program, as it's called, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, is a program that enables people to rely on themselves as their impetus to change and healing. They do it through a means of learning meditation, gentle yoga, and the practical applications of mindfulness in their daily life. It's a profoundly wonderful and moving program. And I am and have been teaching and leading MBSR classes as well. So what I wanted to do now is talk a little bit about why this format, what led me to this here today with BCTV. And part of that comes from the knowledge that not everybody can get out to a meditation center. Not everybody has access to places to practice meditation nearby. Now, it is wonderful to practice meditation with a group, and think of it like an exercise class. When you're in a group of people, and even if you're not all doing the same thing, when you're together and you're practicing, there's sort of a group camaraderie that develops, and it pushes you along, so to speak. And that's what practicing in a group is a lot like. It keeps you coming back. And after all, practicing meditation really is in the practice and in the doing. If you practice meditation and you stick with it, you'll reap the myriad of benefits. So that's important to know. But to speak to why I decided to do this here and now, I wanted to provide an opportunity for those that can't get out, those that have physical limitations, mobility issues, those that may be traveling, time schedules don't always fit schedules for classes in your area. So this is an opportunity to practice and learn meditation in the comforts of your own home. Which leads me into my description of mindfulness meditation. So mindfulness, for my purposes and for our purposes together, means present moment, non-judgmental awareness. So it's awareness of the present moment. It's awareness of doing what you're doing while you're doing it. The judgment part comes into play when we start to follow the train of thought in our mind and we get pulled out of doing what we're doing. For instance, with me right here in front of the camera, I'm very focused on what I'm saying as I'm saying it. So I'm very present to the words I'm using and very aware that I don't want to get ahead of myself, that I don't want my words to kind of start to leap around. And that's a lot how our minds work. Our minds tend to jump from thing to thing to thing. We start off with what I love to call the A to Z thinking. You start off with a stub toe in the morning, and within several hours, you have yourself developing cancer and your toe needs to be removed. Now, I know that's a dramatic and rather funny way of looking at it, but that's a lot how our minds work. We go from this small incident to this rapid fire explosion of thought that has us in the hospital facing death's door. Is this always accurate? No. Is it always truthful? Certainly not. So that's a little bit about why that expression, those words that we use, present moment, non-judgmental awareness, it's not getting lost in those thoughts that carry you away from what you're doing right here and right now in this moment. Meditation is synonymous. They go hand in hand. Mindfulness and meditation are one and the same. And for my purposes, this is how I like to look at it. Meditation to me is the formal practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness can be applied in every aspect of our daily life. And as we move forward with these programs, I'll be weaving more and more about how you can apply mindfulness in your daily life. I want you to remember one thing. If you remember nothing else from today, I want you to remember meditation is the formal practice of mindfulness, number one. I'm going to give you a second one. You can practice meditation walking, standing, sitting, or lying down. And that's really important to know. Meditation is the ultimate mobile device. You can take it anywhere. And the reason why we typically focus on the breath in meditation is because the breath goes everywhere you go. You can take it anywhere, for the most part. So breath work and breath attention is often the core of most meditations. There's sometimes words that are used. There's sometimes an object that you're asked to focus on. But the breath, for the most part, is the central core of our attention when we're meditating. And I'll be honest with you, I may have said this at the beginning, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but really and truly, the best way to learn meditation is not from me speaking. I can go on for an hour and a half, if not longer, talking about meditation. The best way to truly understand and learn about meditation is to dive right off into the deep end. I find when I lead my classes, this is the best way to do it, is to just practice meditation. So what I wanted to do was take a few moments to talk about where to meditate. So it's important to choose a location that is somewhat quiet. And I know that can be difficult to do in a home or office setting. So maybe what that means is turning off the cell phone, turning off your phone if you have a landline and you have the capability to turn the ringer off. Maybe asking your family to leave the room or let everyone in the household know, I'm about to practice meditation. Could you just give me 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever time you've allotted for your meditation practice. You want to choose a place relatively quiet. Again, that's not always easy to do. Some people who may be listening to this may be in hospitals. They may be in assisted facilities, living facilities. They may be surrounded by people. It may be difficult to do. So you make the most of what you can do. Because after all, remember what mindfulness is. Present moment, non-judgmental awareness. It's really learning to be in the present moment with what's ever happening in a more open way, an open and aware way. So that's, in a nutshell, what you can look to in regard to location. Now, there's also the consideration of where and how to meditate. Seated is wonderful, but again, I realize that not everybody who's listening has the capacity to sit upright in a chair or on the floor. So if you're lying down, it's okay to stay lying down. Be comfortable. Key. Absolutely be comfortable. As a matter of fact, you want to be as comfortable as you can with meditation so that it encourages you to want to come back and meditate. If you're uncomfortable, who would want to practice meditation? It's just going to have a negative connotation in the head. So be as comfortable as you can. So if you're lying down, keep yourself lying down. But have your eyes open so you don't fall asleep. Keep a soft focus. That's important. Not a hard penetrating gaze if you're looking up at the ceiling, but a soft focus. Same thing goes if you're seated in a chair. You can have your eyes gently closed or you can have them open. If they're open, keep them cast down at the floor. And believe it or not, you don't have to watch me in order to practice meditation. As a matter of fact, I would strongly encourage everyone to not feel as though you have to look at me, because allow yourself to just listen to my words and feel into what I'm talking about as we're doing it. Again, the more you experience meditation with yourself and doing it, the more you'll come to understand meditation. I want to say one other thing that I realized I didn't mention at the beginning, and that is the benefits of meditation. I have a feeling that most people who are turning into this broadcast have read something about meditation, whether it's reading it, seeing it on TV, hearing it from someone else, but I have a feeling you've heard about it in some capacity. So I don't want to go through the myriad of reasons and wonderful benefits why you should meditate, but I want to focus on a few things, just a few things to think about, a few takeaways. Meditation enables you to develop a different way to respond to the stressors of life. We have a very knee-jerk way of reacting to things. We have habituated patterns that have been established in us since we were very young. Something happens and we immediately respond. What meditation enables us to do is to notice when we need to maybe slow down, pause, not react, but respond, so that we break that chain of habituated patterns of responding. I look at it this way, and this is important in terms of understanding just a little bit of the science involved in meditation. I'm not a doctor nor am I a therapist, so I don't want to get into that in a more specific way. But in a very broad brushstroke, what meditation does is it enables you to develop new neural pathways in the brain, literally changing the brain structure and the way you respond to stress in your life. Our habituated patterns, think of them as deep, deep, deep inset grooves in the brain. When something happens, I overreact. When something happens, I do this. And the more you do it, that's what you've learned. That's the response pattern in the brain. The more you practice meditation, you create new grooves in the brain, new neural pathways, new ways of dealing with your life, understanding your life in different ways, and reacting to it differently. You don't have to change your religion. You don't have to change your spiritual beliefs. If anything, meditation can in fact deepen those things. So that's important to remember. So now, back to the practice of meditation. I'd like to start right now. So, if you are in a seated position, have your feet flat on the floor. If you're of short stature, maybe put a rolled up blanket or a pillow under your feet so that you can keep them flat. You want to have your hands, I'd love to have fans, have your hands either face up or face down on your lap. And I have a little prop here. It's a blanket, which comes in super handy for several reasons. You can roll the blanket up to keep your hands propped up, and that takes a lot of the stress and pressure off your upper back and your shoulders. because you don't want to be uncomfortable. Remember, you don't want to be uncomfortable when you meditate. So you can keep your hands on the folded blanket. You can also use this for your lower lumbar region, if that helps. You can also place this at the base of your feet. For those of us who are of shorter stature, you want those feet on the ground. A lot of times when I'm seated in a chair, because I'm under 5'4", my feet dangle, and you just don't want your feet dangling down. You want to try to have a firm plant with the feet. So the hands are face up or face down in the lap. The belly is soft. And this is a really important thing to say, because this is one time you don't want to be holding in those abdominal muscles, trying to hide that extra 5 or 10 or 20 pounds you put on. Let the stomach be soft. Let your breathing be however it is. Just allow yourself to breathe in and out just as you are right now. So if you're breathing from the belly, absolutely fine. If you're breathing from the chest area, that's great. And again, remember, keep your eyes opened or closed. But if they're opened, have them soft focus, gazing down at the floor, or if you're lying down, have them looking up at the ceiling with a soft gaze, maybe focusing on an imaginary point. So with your eyes closed or open, I want you to soften your jaw. And the way you do that is you let your tongue drop from the roof of your mouth. We often don't even realize the tension that we hold in our body and in our mouth and in our jaw by pressing that tongue tightly into the roof of our mouth. So I want you to let it soften. Let it sort of drop down in the mouth and loosen. And see if you notice a little residual softening in the jaw. And then what I want you to do is just notice the sounds around you, wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this right now. Now, needless to say, I'm in a studio that is fairly quiet, but even here I notice sound. I notice the sound of my voice. I hear some gentle whirring around me, whether it's from equipment or the lighting. It might even be the heating system. Wherever you are, you may be very aware of conversations or noise, maybe the sound of a clock ticking, traffic passing by on the road, or even the sound of my voice. So just noticing the sounds around you. And what I'm going to do right now is just ring this small chime that I brought. It's just a tiny brass bowl. And when I ring it, you can listen to the tone and just recognize the sound of the tone as the beginning of our more formal meditation. And when I chime it 3 times, that's the end of our meditation practice. So I'll ring us into meditation and I'll ring us out. And I'll use this as a more guided opportunity. So I'll be talking, but there will be a few brief moments of some silence. So allow that to happen. Allow there to be some silence in this meditation practice as well. So just chiming this into our more formal practice. What I'd like you to do now is to draw your attention to your breath, towards your breathing. I want you to notice where you feel the breath the most in your body. This could be at the edge of your nostrils. It could be at the back of your throat. It could be noticing the breath as it passes over your lips. I know I'm often speaking and guiding meditation, so I'm very aware of the air passing over my lips and over my tongue. You might notice it in your chest or your belly. So just rest your awareness on wherever you notice the breath the most in the body, and try to keep your attention on that one spot. Now, this is where we talked about creating those neural pathways. Every time you come back to the breath, when you're distracted by a thought or a body sensation, every time you come back, You're creating those new neural pathways. So it's the coming back over and over and over from the distraction to whatever we're focused on for the meditation. We call it an anchor in meditation, or focus. So for right now, you're anchored on your breath. You're anchored on where you feel the breath the most in your body. Now, it's not unusual when you get quiet like this to notice your mind goes into overdrive. This is very typical. The mind doesn't like to sit quietly, nor does the body. But I can assure you, the more often that you practice meditation, the more often you'll be able to find moments of quiet. Now, if you came here to listen to meditation practice today thinking you can stop your thoughts, I want to tell everyone you can't, unfortunately. Stopping the mind is not what meditation's about. It's about learning to be with what's happening as it's happening in a more open, aware way. So, like when we get quiet, we notice we're thinking a lot. And we may be doing some of that A to Z thinking. And that's okay. Now, as I said, today's class and time together is a little bit more talky and less experiential. But as I take more of these programs, my intention is to have them be far more meditation oriented so that we can talk a little bit at the beginning and dive right in. So this is a bit more of a setup in terms of hearing a little bit more about meditation. But I hope to dive right in future sessions and have longer periods where we can really get into the meditation in a deeper way. So simply be here now. Make a choice, make a decision to be here in this moment, allowing things to be as they are, breathing in and out, in whatever way you're breathing, just allowing the breath to flow in and out of the body in its own natural rhythm, in your own natural rhythm, not forcing it or making it be anything other than what it is. And I just want to take a moment now, a minute, to just do this in silence. Just following the breath. So opening your eyes if they're closed and just bringing a little movement back into your posture and recognizing that that was our first exploration of mindfulness together. As I said, my hope is as we do these and go forward, I truly want to just give a bit of an introduction about what we'll be doing with our practice and dive right into the practice so that the practice times will be much longer and you'll have more of an opportunity to experience what mindfulness is about. In the classes and programs that I'll be teaching here, I also want to weave through them aspects of mindfulness so that you understand ways to bring mindfulness into your daily life, not just this formal practice of meditation, but in your daily life, so that you understand how to weave it into the day. So, how to often to practice? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes a day. That's all you need. It's your choice. Just keep in mind, the more you practice, the more you reap the benefits. It's like anything else. You're learning how to do something. And the more you apply skills and learning to it, the better you get at it. Think of it like learning an instrument. Oftentimes it can take years and years and years of practice to become a virtuoso, to be so skilled at that piano playing. So think of your brain that way and use it that way. Use those words that way. Think of it as an opportunity to just engage as often as you can and to learn and to practice. I want to thank everybody for joining me here today. I want to thank BCTV for doing this for me as well. This is a fantastic opportunity to bring this to people. I also want to reference everybody out there to take a look at the links that'll be on the screen at the end, which will allow you to access my website and ways to get in touch with me. And I hope to see you again. Thank you all for coming here today. Bye.